Good morning, dear students. Welcome to our session today. We're going to start the unit number 5. Unit number 5 out of this word, okay? So the objective of this unit in this case is to talk about grammar using comparatives and superlatives. We are going to remember some of the basic rules of spelling, and also we are going to include other forms of this. We are going to talk about landscapes. We are going to solve problems. We are going to write about descriptions of a region. And this is part of the activities that we are going to do today. In this case, we're going to start with the following reading. Okay, attention to this. We are going to start with the following reading. And obviously, you are going to listen. I need that you open your student book, please. Open your student book. Open your student book, unit number 5. Open your student book, unit number 5, page 50, okay? So you are going to listen and you are going to follow the reading. 1, 2, and 3.
The secrets of the solar system. The planets of the solar system have the names of ancient Roman gods, and we have studied them for thousands of years. First, we just looked up at the sky to see the planets and stars, and later we used telescopes. Nowadays, our telescopes are more powerful than in the past, and we can send space probes on incredible expeditions to distant planets. Thanks to astronomers and scientists, we know that a day on Venus lasts 6,000 hours. The moon is as wide as Australia. Ganymede, one of Jupiter's moons, is larger than Mercury, and Saturn is lighter than water.
Mercury is closest to the Sun. It gets hotter than an oven, 420 degrees Celsius, but can also be minus 170 degrees Celsius, colder than a freezer. Its day lasts twice as long as its year.
Venus is about as big as the Earth. It's cloudy, but incredibly hot. 480 degrees Celsius. Its day is longer than Mercury's, 8 Earth months. But a year is shorter, 224 Earth days.
Earth is the only planet with liquid water, perfect for life. It's 150 million kilometers from the Sun, and sunlight takes 8.5 minutes to arrive here.
Mars is a red, rocky planet. A day on Mars is about the same as an Earth day, but a year is nearly twice as long, 687 Earth days.
Jupiter is a giant planet, 130 times bigger than Earth. It's very stormy and can be minus 150 degrees Celsius. It's got 66 moons. It's also got rings like Saturn, but they are smaller.
Saturn has got colourful rings made of little pieces of ice and rock. Its day is very short, only 10 Earth hours. Saturn has also got lots of moons, but fewer than Jupiter.
Uranus, the ice planet, is extremely cold, minus 214 degrees Celsius. It takes 84 years to orbit the Sun. It's got 13 rings and 27 moons, which have the names of Shakespeare's characters.
Neptune looks blue because of methane gas. It's freezing cold at minus 220 degrees Celsius, and its winds reach 2,000 kilometers an hour. Its day is short, but its year lasts 165 Earth years.
Okay, so here we have the first introduction to the reading. So about the solar system, about the planets around it, okay? So here we have the following quiz that we have in this. Pay attention to the activity number 2, activity number 4. Activity number 4 in your student book, please. Activity number 4, page 51. Activity number 4, page 51. A ver esos libros a la mano, por favor, porque veo que algunos están sin material. Okay, so here we have in this, number 4. Please, Natalie Diaz, start reading.
Look at the picture and read the text about each planet. Decide if the sentences are true or false.
Okay, so Natalie is going to read the information, and obviously you are going to select true or false. You are going to circle in your book, and you are going to activate the microphone. Everybody is going to activate the microphone, and you're going to tell me. Beyond Natalie, okay? Natalie, start with the number 1.
Saturn is further from the sun than Jupiter. True. Venus
Okay.
is Earth's neighbor. True.
Continue.
Uranus is colder than Neptune.
Mensaje de texto.
True. Jupiter is 1,000
Por WhatsApp, este mismo número.
times bigger than Mercury.
156,
False.
22.
Okay.
Mercury is next to the sun. True.
Continue.
Uranus ring have got Shakespeare names.
Alguien
True.
que las cuentas también puede cancelar el pichincha de vecino.
True, true.
Hacer un pago
It's true.
a sí mismo,
Uranus.
a las cuentas corrientes de confort.
The weather on Neptune is calm
Podemos repetir.
and false.
Esperen.
Mars is made of gas. Is false.
Okay. So students, in this case, any change, do you consider there is any kind of error? It's okay for you there? Yes? Okay, so we are going to check about the answers. And here we have 2 errors. Error number 1, Uranus is colder than Neptune is false. And Uranus rings have got Shakespeare's name is false in this case, right? So here we have all the answers. Please correct the errors in your book. Let's do it, please. Correct the errors in your books. Thank you, miss. Quickly, correct the errors in your books. Correct the errors in your books, okay? 1, 2, and 3. Ready? So, we'll continue with the next, and obviously here we are going to have some periods of time. As you can observe in the reading, they are using some other periods of time that are frequently used. The first one we say century for 100 years, minute, day, month, decade for 10 years, second, hour, week, a year. The less frequently maybe have used a century and decade. And obviously in this case, remember that the century include 100 years and a decade include 10 years. The hour is the measure in time and registering time by time, composed by minutes and seconds. Now we have month that contains the weeks, okay? And obviously here we have the periods of time that we are revising into this unit, okay? So using these periods of time also we have some mnemonics that we are going to use in this case. Mnemonics have been used to make sentences, and obviously that's the reason why the mnemonics are used also to shorten the words. For example, Monday for M, P for Venus, for example, or M for Mars, depending on this, okay? Some people use shorter forms to determine about the words, okay? Using these expressions, we continue with this. In the planets, you have heard about some adjectives. And here in the vocabulary, we are going to manage those adjectives, okay? Ernesto Pozo, start reading, please.
Grab the product and the positives from the box.
Okay, so here we have, please, Ernesto, you are going to read the adjectives and you are going to select what is the adjective that you want to drag, okay? The number 1.
Like heavy.
Number 2. Continue, Ernesto.
Boring.
Which one do you select? Is the opposite. What is the opposite of boring? Ernesto?
Interesting.
Interesting. Very good. Okay, so here we have interesting. Continue, Ernesto. Number 3.
Dangerous, safe.
Dangerous?
Safe.
Safe. Let me see what is safe. Okay, here. Continue with number 4, Ernesto.
Empty, full.
Empty, full. Okay. Number 5.
Cheap. Expensive, cheap.
Expensive. Okay. Thank you, Ernesto. Thank you, Ernesto. Janina, continue with the number 6.
For near.
Okay. Continue. Continue, Janina.
Late.
Okay, Janina,
Fast.
late. No.
Early.
Okay, continue.
Long. Short.
9.
Narrow.
Row.
Wide.
Continue.
Nice. Deep.
No.
Quiet.
Okay, thank you. Continue, please, Diana Maldonado. Diana, continue. Hello? Sorry? Shallow?
Deep.
Okay. Continue slow.
Fast.
Continue.
Hard.
Sorry?
Hard.
Soft, hard. Okay, number 14.
Thin.
Strong?
Thin.
Are you sure? Thick. Okay, continue.
Very.
Sorry?
Very.
For thick, which is?
Thin.
Continue.
Beautiful.
Okay. Continue.
Popular.
Next one.
Very.
Wet,
Very.
dry. Wet, dry. Okay, we're going to check the errors about this. Those are the corrects, okay? Attention, everybody, please. I need that you complete in your books quickly. Complete in your books. Thank you, Diana. Complete in your books. Let's do it. Complete in your books, okay? Ready? 1, 2, and 3. Remember, adjective and the opposites of this. Adjectives and the opposites, that is different. Those are characteristics. And obviously both are gonna use for that. Remember that to work into the comparative and the superlative, you are going to need an adjective. And remember, what is an adjective? To give the description. Those are used to give descriptions to people, to objects, to animals, to things, to places. Okay, and those are the adjectives, and we are going to use in this form of the grammar too. In this part of the vocabulary that we have heard here, we have the activity number 8. Please, Mercy Verduga, read the sentences, please. Mercy. Mercy Verduga. 1, 2. Mercy Verduga. Okay, Mercy is not here. Bye, see you. Continue with the next one, please. Anchundia Alejandra.
Read the sentences and choose the adjective you can use.
Attention to this. Choose the adjectives. The adjective you can't use. It's the opposite of this, okay? So we're going to start, Alejandra.
The river's really deep here.
Continue.
Great for kayaking. I don't like this coffee because it's always so safe.
Are you sure? Okay.
No, noisy.
Okay.
A carrot is a white orange vegetable.
Sure.
Long.
Okay, continue.
My dad always takes the unpopular.
Okay.
This dictionary is really heavy.
Okay, so according to this, that is like you can't use. Here you have, we're going to make some changes. This is correct in depth, okay? Attention to this, but using this note could be maybe fast or then, right? We're going to make attention to the corrections that we are going to do in this case. In these ones that says red, it's apparently should be the correct form. Apparently should be the correct form. Lo que ha hecho su compañera es revisar por inercia lo que es correcto. Lo que está de rojo en sí realmente es la opción correcta. Pero como el texto aquí nos está pidiendo que utilicemos lo que está mal, lo que no podemos usar, y tenemos el ejemplo del 4. Cuidado, nos vamos a equivocar. Miren lo que me está pidiendo la opción. Aquí que me pide, adjectives you can't use. Okay? That's the reason that is the opposite that we are using on that. Okay? Correct the errors, please, quickly. Correct the errors. Mire lo que el texto dice. Cuidado, se va a equivocar. Okay? 1, 2, and 3. Well, so using these adjectives that are the opposite of them, now we are going to go into the grammar reference. We have in this case the comparatives. Here we have the comparatives. And obviously we are going to remember some parts of the comparatives according to this. But before, I need that you pay attention to the following, okay? So here we have the presentation of this. Remember about the forms that we are going to use to talk about that. Attention.
We use comparative adjectives to compare two things. We use than before the second thing. Russia is bigger than Canada. Elephants are heavier than giraffes. Emily is a more talented singer than Sadie.
Okay, attention. In the first part of the comparatives, remember that according to the speller, we are going to use the form of ER, and also we are going to use than, okay? We are going to use ER and than. And according to the spelling form, we are going to, depending on the spelling form, we are going to use in this, okay? Remember that we can say bigger, smaller, heavier, and you're going to use these two expressions to definitely talking about them. It's important also that when we talk about these comparatives, that we pay attention to this. The other expression that we have to use in the comparatives, we use more, the adjective, and also using than. What is about this? For example, more talented. Remember that according to the spelling, for longer adjectives, for example, talented. For example, when you say expensive, that is a long one word, you're going to use the expression more and the adjective. Talking specifically about that, okay? Continue.
If the second thing in a comparative sentence is a personal pronoun, we use either an object pronoun or a subject pronoun with the auxiliary verb repeated. Chris is better at maths than me. Or, Chris is better at maths than I am. Eleanor's brother is taller than her. Or, Eleanor's brother is taller than she is.
Attention to this one. That is probably maybe new for you. There are two ways that you can use. There are two ways that you can use the form of the comparisons, especially when you are comparing with you in this case. You can use than me, than you, than her, than him, or in this case, you can say exactly the form of the subject. Than I am, than she is, than he is. This is the most frequently used. As you can observe, this expression here is the most frequently used than me, than you, because it's easier. But from time to time, you can use the expression that you have at the end, okay? Than she is using the form of the subject. Both are completely useful for that, okay?
Not as. As. We can use not as plus adjective plus as to make comparatives. They have the opposite meaning to comparative forms with er and more. Uranus isn't as cold as Neptune. Neptune is colder than Uranus. Russian isn't as difficult as Chinese. Chinese is more difficult than Russian. Less.
Okay. We're going to
We
wait a minute.
can also use less.
Okay, we're going to wait a minute in this case. So what happened with not as? Attention to the following. Remember, not as is to have the opposite meaning of that. When you are not included, it's the same as the other one. Cuando utilizamos as en afirmativo, ojo, cuando utilizamos as como afirmativo sin el not, we are expressing that both are exactly the same. Attention, everybody. When you're using as, both with not, we are saying that both objects, both people, both things are exactly the same. Cuando as, adjective as, lo utilizamos sin el not, estamos indicando que las dos cosas, las dos personas, los dos lugares, los dos animalitos, los dos que sea, que está comparando son exactamente iguales. Cuando utilizo as y el adjective, por ejemplo, as cold as, tan frío como, as difficult as, tan difícil como. That is the expression that we are using. Esta es la partecita que estoy aclarando y lo estoy haciendo hasta en español. As, adjective, as. Cuando yo utilizo as, adjective, as, ya no utilizo el than. Simplemente utilizo las dos cosas, los dos objetos, las dos personas que estamos comparando. Cuando yo utilizo el not dentro del as, aquí viene la segunda parte. Cuando yo ya le incluyo este not a la forma del as, esa comparación se forma negativa y ya estoy indicando lo contrario. Si yo antes decía que es tan frío como, ahora voy a decir que no lo es. Cuando yo incluyo el not as, adjective as. That is the form that we are using on this, okay? So it's important that you follow about that. It's important that you follow about that, okay? So in this case, we said as cold as, we said as and the adjective as. And as difficult as, and you're using isn't, and you're using isn't. ¿Qué es lo tercero que tiene que recordar? que siempre, por lo regular, usted va a utilizar un verbo to be. Por lo regular va a utilizar un verbo to be. Is or isn't, are or aren't, am or am not. Cada vez que usted va a utilizar, por lo regular va a utilizar un verbo to be. Afirmativo, negativo. Es obvio, afirmativo si solo está utilizando as. O negativo, en este caso, si es isn't or aren't, usted va a utilizar una forma negativa. ¿Ok? Now we continue with the second part of this.
Less plus adjectives with 2 or more syllables. It means the opposite to more. We use them before the second thing. Cricket is less popular in Scotland than in England. We often use a mixture of comparative forms, not as, and less when we compare two things. Los Angeles is bigger and more populated than San Francisco, but it's less historic and it isn't as pretty.
Okay, conclusion. Now we have less. Less is an expression. Less is an expression that we use with the adjective. Less plus the adjective. Okay? It's important in this case that we use less with the form of this. Less is to reduce. Less is when you reduce the impact of this. Less, menos importante, menos activo, menos barato, es menos escaso, okay? That is the form that you are going to use with this, less and the adjective. That's the reason why you are going to use here, is less popular, is less important. Also, you are going to use the verb to be, is, are, or am, and less, and the adjective. And also, you are going to use than. Remember, is, less, adjective, and you are going to use than because you are comparing these two places. That is the comparison in this case. And also, you are using this form of this. You are comparing the cricket in two different places. Did you see? You have here what is the object of the comparison, but you are using two extras forms of this. That is the way that you're going to use that. And remember, we have not as that is negative, unless that also is negative. And you can use both into the same sentences. You are comparing is bigger, more popular, less historic, isn't as pretty. As you can observe, you can use all these forms into a sentence, depending on what you are comparing about the structure, okay? And obviously, that is obviously what you are going to work on this case. If you want to take a capture, let's do it, please. If you want to take a capture, let's do it about this, okay? 1, 2, and 3. Ready? Using this grammar presentation, we are going to work in the next part. As you can observe in page 24, you have got information on this, and obviously you are going to work on that, okay? ¿Qué va a pasar en este momento, chicos, para no cansarlos más porque ya están cerca de las festividades? En la página 52, ¿verdad? Ustedes tienen el ejercicio 2. ¿Sí ven? Tarea, queda de tarea lo siguiente, homework, queda de tarea lo siguiente. Por favor, el ejercicio 2. Miren que esta tarea es adicional. ¿Sí ve? La número 1. Homework number 1, ¿sí ve? Homework number 1. Homework number 2. Okay. And homework number 4. Okay, using as. Okay, and also you are going to have the number 6. You are going to compare these objects. Esto va a quedar de tarea, la página 52. Anote, por favor, página 52 del texto. Página 52 del texto. Esto es lo que usted va a trabajar. Escúcheme bien, no va a trabajar en la plataforma esta semana. No va a trabajar en la plataforma esta semana porque la plataforma están haciéndole una adaptación, una revisión que es solicitado. Por eso no va a trabajar en la plataforma, va a trabajar en su libro y en su workbook. ¿Me está escuchando? Va a trabajar en su libro y en su workbook, página 52. Luego se va a la página 53. Anote en su propio libro porque se le olvida. Página 52 y página 53. En la página 53 usted va a trabajar todas las actividades de audio, de listening. Follow a family discussion about London museums. Usted va a trabajar todo lo que es listening con todos los audios. ¿Dónde encuentra usted los audios? Los audios usted los encuentra en la plataforma de Richmond. Usted los encuentra en la plataforma de Richmond, en el mismo class material. Usted ahí va a encontrar la información. Y obviamente, pues usted ahí va a tener los audios disponibles para trabajarlos. Más sin embargo, voy a poner el primer audio a grabar para que si usted no los encuentra, obviamente usted puede venir al video grabado y reproducirlo sin ningún problema. ¿Ok? ¿Listo? Por eso los voy a poner en este momento. ¿Ok?
So, where do you want to go in London on Saturday?
I'd like to go to the British Museum.
Oh no, the British Museum's just full of old stuff. It's boring.
It's one of the best museums in the world.
Well, I'd like to go to the Natural History Museum. It's all about our planet. You know, the rocks and plants and animals and things.
The British Museum's more interesting than that. There are more than 8 million objects in it.
Well, the Natural History Museum has got 70 million items. And it's more fun. It's got a special gallery with the skeletons of dinosaurs. Some of them are moving too.
The British Museum has got loads of ancient Egyptian mummies.
Dinosaurs are more exciting than mummies.
No way! Mummies are fantastic. One of the mummies is over 5,000 years old.
Dinosaurs are older than that. And the Natural History Museum's open later too. On Fridays, it's open until 8:30.
Well, we're going on Saturday, not Friday.
It's also got 2 cafes, a snack bar and a restaurant. And I always get hungry in museums.
There are 3 cafes at the British Museum.
There are 3 cafes at the Science Museum too.
I'm not into science.
But the Science Museum is amazing. You can see everything from old aeroplanes to space rockets. It's got a brilliant shop. And there are 4 cinemas too.
4?
Yeah, one of them is an IMAX cinema. And there's also the Legend of Apollo 4D cinema. It's about the Apollo flights to the moon.
What's a 4D cinema?
Well, it's a 3D cinema, really, but the cinema does these incredible things when you're watching the film. There are strange smells, you feel water in the air, and your seats move. It's like being an astronaut.
That sounds cool. Maybe it's better than the British Museum.
OK, I agree. Let's go to the Science Museum.
Okay, that is the first one. Okay, it's an easy in this way. And obviously in the number 2, you are going to do, I think that is the same one. Let me see.
So, where do you want to go in London on Saturday?
I'd like to go to the British Museum.
It's exactly the same, right? It's exactly the same like the before one that you can check in this. Let me see the number 3. Okay, it's exactly the same for the number 3 also, okay? And obviously you are going to have the information, okay? That is what you are going to work, page 52 and page 53, okay? Conclusión, página 52 y página 53 que tienen que trabajar en el texto y en el workbook. Si quiere revisar los audios a través del video que en breve voy a subir al canal de YouTube, lo hace, sino también en la plataforma usted tiene los audios. Esta semana no va a trabajar en la plataforma porque la plataforma va a estar en mantenimiento esta semana, vista que hemos tenido unos pequeños problemitas para calificar. Para ustedes no ha habido ningún problema, es para nosotros los maestros y obviamente pues están haciendo una revisión técnica para poder descargar las notas. Bueno, chicos, me retiro deseándoles un excelente feriado, unas
Mira una
excelentes
pregunta.
fiestas. Dime, mi amor.
En el workbook, ¿qué trabajamos exactamente? Lo que
La uni-
falta de eso-
¿Lo que falta de qué?
de esto, de la unidad o cómo que trabajamos.
Lo que hicimos hoy día, de la unidad 5. Lo mismo que tú tienes las 2 páginas que mandé de tarea en el student book, lo mismo lo tienes en el libro, en el workbook. Si tú te das
Ay,
cuenta.
gracias.
Ya, mi amor.
Teacher, ¿y el workbook va a ser aquí en digital o en la plataforma Richmond?
No, ustedes en su libro físico, todavía no toquen nada de libro digital, porque va a estar en reparación. Usted, les va a grabar, pero se les va a desaparecer, porque obviamente van a utilizar el feriado, la vacancia, para poder hacer esos ajustes. Por eso es que no les mando a hacer nada, ni les puse nada la semana pasada, porque eso iba a desaparecer, ¿ya? Entonces es importantísimo para que los voy a hacer trabajar en vano, porque corremos el riesgo de que eso desaparezca. ¿Alguna otra pregunta? ¿No? Bueno, entonces me despido. Listo. Un excelente feriado. Merry Christmas for everybody. Happy New Year. I mean that everything goes well with a lot of health, lovely times for you, ¿ok? Les deseo lo mejor, chicos. Disfrútenlo con su familia, que en esta pandemia tenerlos vivos ya es un milagro y hay que agradecerlo, ¿ok? Cuídense mucho ustedes también. Cuiden a sus viejos. Exacto, cuídense ustedes también. Los quiero mucho y disfruten de este tiempo hermoso, ¿ok? Listo, babies. Bye, see you.
Bye, Miss.
Bye, Miss.
Chao, mis
Cuídense,
gracias.
niños.
Igualmente,
Miss, pásala
Miss.
bien.
Feliz año,
Bye,
Miss.
bye.
¿No, Miss?
Goodbye,
Bye.
Miss.
De igual manera, mi amor.